Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And this is episode 50-something? 8?
58.
Yeah. Numbers that I don't keep track of.
8.
That's great.
How's the weather today, Adrian?
It is a perfect temperature. Unfortunately, that comes at the cost of it being quite rainy and dreary and gray. Just all day, nonstop.
24/7.
Yeah.
Our roof at work leaked a lot today.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
I feel bad for all the people in my neighborhood who have been getting their roofs finally redone after the massive hailstorm like 3 months ago and now have no roof while it is raining.
Gotcha. I was just going to say, Jeff, those conditions are unacceptable. You should quit.
I did. I'm getting a new job. I will no longer work for the Target, and I will be working at Epic Brewing as right after I get back from Gen Con.
Yeah. What are you going to do over there now?
Warehouse and logistics. Going to be shipping that beer
Fancy.
on to y'all that drink it.
And if you don't drink Epic beer, you should. It's pretty tasty.
It's pretty good. They're like number 5 or 6 in the state, craft brewery-wise.
Nice.
Something like that. They're one of the bigger ones.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's Avery, New Belgium.
Yeah, there's
Odell,
some big boys.
Great Divide.
Coors.
Oscar Blues.
Not counting Coors and Busch.
And
Oscar-
Budweiser has a huge plant up by Fort Collins.
Yeah. But
we don't count them.
Yeah, so Epic's probably like 5 or 6 in there for distribution.
Yeah, I'm sure Ant could tell us.
He
And
would know
probably
exactly.
will.
Yeah, we could probably text him right now to be like, what number are you?
Well,
No context. Just say that. What number are you?
the group chat on Wednesday, I'll get a message. We are insert whatever number Epic actually is. So, congratulations, Jeff, on a new job.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's much more fulfilling than mindless retail work.
Let's hope. Well, running mindless retail work, I should say.
Correct.
Yeah. I was a leader.
You weren't a follower. He was blazing a path.
Yeah. Speaking of beer,
We're drinking some.
yes, as is
We're
tradition.
all drinking
hang
beer
on,
today.
hang on.
There it is.
Also, you hit your mic, which is
Yeah.
great. Good job.
You know what? That was the can. That was the cost of what it needed to happen.
Sometimes you have to pay the price. So after you take a big sip there, Jeff, do
paid
you
the
want to tell
iron
us
price.
what you're drinking?
I am drinking a D-Bolt Brewing Session IPA, Greenback Session IPA.
Greenback Session IPA. That is also what I'm drinking.
It's a Colorado Fish, I think. State Fish?
I highly doubt that.
Okay. I'll look it up while you
They do have
talking.
a fish thing, but
The fish thing's called the state fish is called IPA.
yes, correct. The IPA fish. It
Is
used
it your
to,
favorite fish?
It was a rainbow trout, but they actually just renamed rainbow trout to IPA fish.
Oh, okay.
So Jeff, you're drinking yours just straight out of the can in your generic blue koozie that you are somewhat obsessed with.
It's a nice
on
koozie.
recording days. I'm
It's like Froggy in Blazing Saddles.
Yeah.
I'm drinking.
Where's Froggy?
I'm drinking the same beer. I'm drinking the Greenback as well. I'm drinking mine out of a Brawling Brothers. I don't still know what this glass is.
It looks like a highball glass.
I've called it a rocks glass, and I got
Highball
scolded
sounds
for
good.
it. I got called it something else, and sure, yeah, Brawling Brothers highball glass. It holds 12 ounces, which is a can of beer, and so it's fantastic.
Just so everyone knows, the Colorado or the Greenback cutthroat trout is the Colorado
I've
state
never
fish.
heard the Greenback part of that. I've heard cutthroat trout, but
Okay.
I've never heard of the Greenback part of that.
Hence the name of the beer.
Well, then that makes sense. Zach,
I knew something.
oh, Jeff, careful now. Jeff knows something. He's not learning
I
something.
am a
today.
trivia champion, sir.
I guess that would technically be either an old-fashioned glass or a rocks glass.
See, I'm
Highball
pretty sure
glass is a little bit taller and thinner.
I'm pretty sure I'd said a rocks glass before, and somebody said it wasn't a rocks glass.
Maybe they're just telling you that you're wrong on everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's usually the go-to.
it's a decent
Yeah.
default position. So, Zach, what are you drinking?
Dragon's milk. Because I bought it 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and then you got sick,
Then I got
and-
sick, and I told Jeff he couldn't have that one because he already had 2 of them. I'm like,
Yes.
you can't fucking have another one, Jeff. So I
I'll
have
just buy my own.
Yeah.
I'm an adult. I have an ID. I can buy whatever beer I want.
Those come from New Holland, right?
that is correct.
Yeah. Up in Michigan. I've been to that brewery. It's a nice brewery.
Very different from New Netherlands, which has conquered the ocean of Mars. That was a XKCD reference.
Oh, I missed that one.
Someone gets it. and is laughing maniacally right now.
Even the crickets weren't happy with
It's probably Andrew, because he's probably read those.
I am so far behind on all things XKCD.
It was like, what if we opened up a like basketball court-sized hole at the bottom of the Marianas Trench and opened it up onto Mars? Basically, the Netherlands would start conquering the Earth, and then they would conquer Mars.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Because it would drain, and they'd be like, our full power has come to full strength.
One of my favorite one of those is what if during an entire rainstorm it was just one giant drop instead?
All of the rain from one rain. That one's a great one.
It is.
I haven't read that one.
Or the pitch that's is it 99 or 99% light speed?
It would be a nuclear fission explosion and destroy the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a wave of plasma in front of it.
I actually, a couple of month ago, when I went up to the to Montana for that wedding and everything, I was telling somebody about that in the car, like Megan's sister or something, and I was like, no, screw this. Like, I can't do it justice. I'm just going to read it to you guys. And I pulled it up and like read it as we were driving down the road, and they all thought it was quite hilarious and also super informative.
Yeah.
That guy does a lot
Good
of
stuff.
awesome calculations and things. His what ifs are fantastic. His comic is hilarious. Big fan all around.
He has had a running joke about the New Netherlands conquering different areas many times. I think there's probably 6 or 7 references in different comics about how the Netherlands have conquered the world or something.
Nice.
I mean, for 20 years or for 200 years, they've been keeping that country above water. So what if all that effort went into not having to do that? Clearly, they would conquer the world.
So I went to search on Google, what if XKCD?
Yeah.
And I got what if space X. First thing, obviously, what if XKCD? Second thing, what if xenomorphs are real?
Holy shit balls, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
It's a good thing they're not.
Yeah.
Well, and if they are, they're in space. They're not here.
Yet.
Yeah, I mean, but,
I mean, if they're real, then that means that the entire canon's real, right? So they've been here since like 2007?
Well, that was Alien vs. Predator. We're not going to mention that. Alien vs. Predator Requiem, to be fair.
Which was the worst of them. Alien vs. Predator wasn't terrible. It wasn't great, but it could have been a lot worse.
It was bad. The second one was worse.
The second one was, real bad.
Yeah, it was real bad.
I actually watched Alien the other day.
First one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good flick.
It's a good movie.
Like it a whole lot. Anyway.
Yeah, I need to see Covenant still. It's coming out on the DVD soon, so.
Yeah. Voodoo's been trying to get me to buy it for a while, but I don't buy Voodoo. I just watch whatever my mom and brother buy.
There you go.
Which is where I watched Alien.
Oh, okay.
So that's what my life's been. Super exciting stuff.
You know what aliens are really good at?
Murder.
So we played some PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Shocker.
Yes.
Last night specifically was the highlight. I went on a micro Uzi fucking rampage. 2 games in a row killed. I'm going to call that one that we ran by who clearly AFK'd. I'm going to call that one mine because I murdered the rest of his team by myself.
Yeah,
and then he just like ran up the road and then just stood there. And when we were running up the road, like 10 minutes later, they were like, why is there a guy right there? And it's because he clearly quit because I had murdered the rest of his friends. I was mentioning on our Slack Murder Island channel, you may as well call me Michael Douglas. Hopefully everyone gets that reference because I'm not explaining it.
Wait, you're not explaining a reference this time?
No.
The one time I don't know your reference, you don't explain it.
Michael Douglas's character in Falling Down had a Uzi throughout the whole movie.
I don't remember going on a rampage.
I think he also had a MAC-10 is the Uzi, but the Tech 9, it's the one from Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a sad movie.
Falling Down?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's really good, but man, it's sad.
Yeah.
It was a bummer at the end that he couldn't get back up.
God damn it, Zach. Get out. Go home.
I'll just drink myself to death. How about that?
Please do.
You only need 9 more of those. It'll be fun, though. We were up in the ruins. There's like a little castle ruins that you can go up to, and then there's this ruined tower on cliffside. Little do people know you can actually go behind it and get up there. It's not just the one big walkway that can go there. And so everyone else was distracting them while I went commando and went down up behind them, gunned one man down, killed him, reload. Another guy was coming around as they had heard me murdering, and then the rest of the crew, including Zach, was starting to run up as they were distracted by my murdering. One came around, Micro Uzi'd him to death, took a little damage. Another one came around, kind of saw where I was and shot at me a little bit, but then I sort of tucked around a corner, and then he ran over to try and res his friend, and I was like, oh, that's real stupid.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're in the open, and it was way closer to me, and so I just ran out and Micro Uzi'd another one. Killed 3 dudes. 7 Micro Uzi murders. They were pretty good.
And I got a participation trophy.
Yeah.
The best thing I did was me and one of our teammates, we both had Kar 98s, which are sniper rifles.
The Kar 98K from World War II German Army fame.
Yeah.
Bold action.
I've shot one of those. They kick a lot.
Yeah.
Weird 7.62 rifles.
Yeah.
But anyway, we both saw this guy peeking out from a shit shack, and we both hit him at the same time with our cars.
Just 2 bullets at the same time. Yeah, they had 2 fully decked out 8x scope Kar 98s, because you got to find the scopes separate. And then they just stood in the middle of a field, middle of a forest.
I was lagging behind you guys, but everybody else in our team was moving that way, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to stand here like an idiot near these rocks if everybody else is over there. And then we went into the shooting, basically a shooting pit for somebody else's team, and we got murdered pretty easily.
Yeah, everyone was in our murder row because they were all just running across fields. But had we run across the field first, we could have gotten into a good position to like camp there and just murder everyone. But we were like, oh, these are really easy kills. Let's just keep killing them. Oh, wait, now we're dead. Yeah.
Yep.
Sounds unfortunate.
Indeed. We should probably post our Twitch thing that my friend does,
Yes.
because he records all of our stupidity as we play.
Yeah. And you can listen to Jeff and Zach murder and I assume giggle maniacally.
Usually. Yes.
Every so often, we just blah, blah. Oh God, I'm dead. Because there have been a couple times I know I've done, and I've heard Jeff do it on Mumble of just talking and then opening a door. There's 2 people shooting you in the face and straight up yelping even. It was
Oh God. Yeah, we had murder. Yeah, we got a lot of murder in. We should start a murder log.
Yeah.
Just to log all of our murders.
I'm sure the police will find that very handy.
Yeah. I mean, it was in a video game. Officer.
I mean, I do like that even out, like, when we're done in the game night, we're just like, hey, Jeff, you want to do some murder later on? And you're like, yeah, totally.
Yep. I'm down for some murder.
Yeah.
When we do.
Yep. Context.
Indeed. So board games. Has anybody played some board games?
Yes.
We are a board gaming podcast. We probably should get around to board games at some point.
Are there going to be any board games on this board gaming podcast?
Maybe.
Okay.
We have yet to see. Only time will tell. Zach, what have you played?
Board games.
Oh,
Yeah.
shocker.
On to news.
So I finally got in my Kickstarter copy of Champions of Midgard
Yes.
and its expansions, the Dark Mountains and Valhalla.
that was a ridiculous stack of boxes.
It was. Well, so it also helped that it was also the top and bottom of each of them sort of stacked on top of each other, so it looked bigger than it actually was.
Deceit.
Yeah, I'm just full of it. And yeah, so I had to let it sink. But so sorting that was a little bit of a pain because it was actually annoying. In the Kickstarter, they gave you, like, if you did $8, you could get you could basically sleeve your entire game.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, that's pretty cool. $8 for, I think it was like basically 6 different, six sleeve packs. I'm like, that's actually a pretty good deal. I'll do that.
And different sizes, too, right?
Yeah, 4 of the big ones and then 2 of the small ones.
Okay.
And so the big ones fit fine, but the small ones, once I sleeved all of them, they did not fit in the spot that the Kickstarter exclusive box had for them.
Oh.
And I was like, really? Because I'm pretty sure there was extra space on the bottom that you could put it, but whatever. So I didn't sleeve those, and that's okay, I guess. But I sleeved all the other ones, and then so Wednesday, it was me, Jeff, and Bob. We played a 3-player game, and we used Valhalla, but we did not use the Dark Mountains. So how the game normally works, it's a worker placement. If you've played Lords of Waterdeep,
Very similar.
it's very similar, but it's a different. It's Vikings fighting monsters.
It's a similar worker placement mechanic.
Yes, but instead of when you recruit fighters in Lords of Waterdeep, like, you can just send them off to complete they're just cubes, and you just send them off to complete a quest. This one, it's you get them, and then you go to fight monsters, and you actually have to fight the monsters. So that means because your fighters are dice.
Yeah.
So and you're rolling to defeat said monsters. And so in the base game, if you defeat a monster, or when you fight a monster, they usually do damage and then they have health, and then some of your dice have shields to help block damage. But otherwise, if it does 2 damage and you do 2 damage to it and kill it, you're still gonna have to lose 2 of your dice. And so in the base game, if you lose 2 dice, that's it. Like, you just lose your dice. Because if you just rolled shitty and you just lost, like, you sent 6 guys to go fight something that was a 2-2, and you just kept rolling shitty.
Because you just have to keep rolling until you're dead or they're dead.
Yeah, and you just lose all 6 of your dice. You've basically, your entire turn was for nothing. Which I know.
Or multiple turns building up that much dice.
Which, Adrian, I know you would not like.
That would, no.
But that did not ever happen during our game.
No, no one got fucked over like that.
There's a lot of mitigation you can use in there too. So.
But in Valhalla, they actually add whenever your fighters die, you get basically like their soul,
a little cardboard piece. Represents the color of the die.
Yeah, and you can use those to buy these Valkyrie blessings, and they'll usually get you some more dice that you can get, or more food, money, or wood and stuff like that. Or you can use. There's also a couple epic monsters that you can use at the end of the game, because it takes like 6 of those things to kill one of the epic monsters, and then that gives you a lot of points, and then some other stuff at the end of the game.
Okay.
And so it helped. Like, there are actually times when you're like when I said, because that expansion also added leader dice, which just give you another secondary ability, which is nice.
Each player is a different like leader, and then they're slightly different. They have different starting powers and stuff like that. But then the leader adds a new die that you have like a special power, because you can actually use the leader in combat.
Yep.
Gotcha.
And it also added berserkers and shield maidens. Berserkers do a lot of damage. So like the base die in what were they just called? Not swordsmen.
Yeah.
3 of the sides are blank, so they just don't do anything. And then they have a shield which blocks 1 damage. They have a sword that does 1 damage, and then 2 swords that do 2 damage. The berserkers, they have 1 side that's blank, 2 sides that do 1 damage, and then 3 sides that do 2 damage. So they are
super damagey,
but they have to die first. If you take any damage, they die first because they're in the front lines.
Yeah, makes sense.
And then the shield maidens, they have 1 side that's blank, 2 sides that do 1 damage, and then they have 3 sides that do a damage and a shield. So they're really good at protecting. But there was a time when I killed my shield maiden, even though I could have killed a swordsman, because I wanted to get his little tile to be able to get the epic. So there are times when you will want to kill your better guys to get you those little symbols. Stuff like that.
And the upgrades are nice. They can, sometimes your leader can die if you do real bad. I don't think anyone's did.
Mine died at the end, but I didn't. Okay. I was like, I'm fine with that.
But you can use the Valkyrie blessings to refresh your leader, and a whole bunch of like one-time bonus, like get 3 food and get your leader back, or some other like, I don't know, upgrades basically.
Right on. Yeah, it was. I really liked it.
I would not want to play the game without the Valkyrie portion in there.
Yeah, and the
game's still good, but the Valkyrie it adds some cool stuff.
Yeah, it means when you get shit on from losing, it's still you still get something.
Yeah,
that's
important.
There's no extra time added to the game at all, except maybe 30 seconds of figuring out which ones you have available to you to buy equipment.
Yeah, and so I want to play with the Dark Mountains next time, which adds. So there are in this one, like the different monsters you're fighting are trolls, which they're right next to your village. There's Draugr.
If you've ever played Skyrim,
yeah,
those undead dudes.
Yeah.
Those guys, which are right nearby, but then there's also monsters you have to sail across the fight. They're usually really big, and they have
lava monsters.
Fenrir cubs and stuff like that. But you have to sail across, so you have to get a ship, and then you have to bring enough food with you to supply your workers, your fighters. But then you actually have to do a sail, and so there's these journey cards that you flip over. Sometimes it's all quiet. Sometimes you have to fight a kraken. Sometimes you get lost and you have to lose food or
a die and a food.
Yeah.
And if you can't make the journey with enough food, you just lose guys.
Yes.
Which sucks.
Yeah. So sometimes you want to if your ship can hold 7 and you have 6 on there, you're like, maybe I'm gonna put another food in there just in case.
Okay.
But the Dark Mountains adds another version of that, where you're basically sending them to the mountains to go fight, where it's another way to do that.
Okay.
And so the Dark Mountains added more of the base game, and then Valhalla added something new to it. So I definitely liked. Like, I played little parts of the Dark Mountains ones just because there are certain cards that we used. But I definitely recommend if you have Champions of Midgard already, definitely get the Valhalla one because it was definitely worth it. And then the other one too, probably.
We'll see how that one goes.
Yeah.
Cool.
But
It's a fun game.
It was fun.
Right on.
I don't think I need to play Lords of Waterdeep anymore.
No, same here.
Yeah. Unless you really want to build stuff.
Huh.
Well, at least for me, theme like it's.
You love Vikings.
Well, I don't care about D&D, so that the world itself didn't really interest me, and the act of completing, like fighting the monsters, was a lot more fulfilling than just completing a quest.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And then,
Okay.
pretty much.
Cool. Jeff, what did you play?
Champions of Midgard. So Champions of Midgard is a worker placement game. Murder Island. That's all I really remember. I don't think I played much.
All right.
Watched Terraforming Mars get played.
That's right. You weren't playing.
Yeah. I was just hanging out. It's post-work.
Hopefully that was slightly more entertaining than watching Tramways get played.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I had an iPad with me.
Yeah.
I could, like, look at stuff.
You were playing Heroes, Hearthstone.
Hearthstone, yes.
New expansion's supposed to come out too,
Yeah,
right?
the 10th, like 3 days. Well, by the time you hear this, like the day after you hear this.
Sometime in the future.
I think it comes out Thursday.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Right on. I didn't play much at game night. I played some bags. I did play the other thing I forgot that when we were talking about stuff at the start of the show or off air, whatever. I played Flick 'em Up, which is a little dexterity game that Paul got.
I don't know how little it is.
Yeah, no, it takes up a whole table.
Like a 8-foot-long table.
Yeah, it takes up a bunch of space. We played a scenario where there were 5 bad guys and 5 good guys, and the bad guys were trying to poison the water barrels, and the good guys were trying to purify water barrels and keep them clean. And you played, like, each round is like 1 hour, and you played like 6 hours, so you played like 6 rounds. Basically, in the game, you can move by flicking, like you have a little meeple person, little cardboard standee, and when it's that standee's turn, you can move them by placing a disc next to them.
Okay.
And then flicking it, and as long as it doesn't touch anything else, they move to where it ends up. There's a slightly smaller disc that you can use to shoot other people to do some damage to them, and then like if you're near the barrels, you can take an action to poison or purify depending on which team you're on. And you just basically flick discs all around the table, and it's pretty fun, pretty simple. Not a whole lot there. Nice big chunky wooden components. I really liked that.
I noticed.
And then the other thing I played was this. I'm drawing a blank on the name. It was like a text-based, like basically like the old school computer text-based adventures where like you're in a forest. There's a path leading north. What do you do? Zork game.
Yeah.
And this one was some kind of special castle thing. One of you guys remembered it?
Action Castle.
Yeah,
Action Castle.
Action Castle.
By Parsley Games. I had also played this before you played it.
Yes.
Our friend Andrew, who's been on the show, knows a lot about Rome. He brought it and was like, "Oh, do you want to try this out?" And I was like, "Sure." And so it's sort of him reading off all of
He's playing
this
the role of an old like 80s computer.
Commodore 64.
Yep.
And you have all the standard like text adventure commands like go north, go south, pick up fishing pole, look at so and so, look at room, talk, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Talk to a troll.
Yep. So we played 3 players. I think you guys played 3 players as well.
Yes.
We did.
And then each player takes a turn just doing one of those commands, and it kind of just keeps looping around, everyone making decisions as Andrew is reading off this sheet, big sheet of like what happens in this specific scenario if you're standing here and you look at Rosebush, and then it's like, oh, there's a nice rose in there, and you're like, grab rose. It's like, you've grabbed rose. And go north. You see a large tree here. Climb tree. Oh, there's a big stick. Take stick. There's a fishing pole. Take fishing pole, etc., etc., etc. And you sort of have to. You don't really have an objective. You just have to figure out.
You have to figure out your objective, basically.
Correct.
But I mean, it literally has everything from a text adventure in here, even if you don't know it or not, because there's a lot of commands in those games that were sort of hidden. Like we probably could have asked like help, and he would read off all the commands that you could do.
Right.
There was also there was a save system that we never found out about until the end.
Same with us.
He was like, oh yeah, you guys kept restarting, but you guys know you could save, right? And it's like, of course not. Well, you never do use the help command. Or you never looked in your inventory and you had actually started with an item that you didn't know was there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Parsley Games, I guess, is doing a Kickstarter for like a big book of these.
It was pretty fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was funny. Especially just how merciless the game could be. Just be like, you died. All right, you start in a cabin, and there's a fishing pole.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, son of a bitch.
We're all the way back at the beginning.
Yeah, like you there are like 3 or 4 different times where it's like, I'll do this action, and a slow grin would just creep over his face. You find yourself in a cabin.
Yeah, and we're like, oh, no. Shit. And so we're just like, okay, fuck it. Go out. And he starts to say, and we just immediately like, all right, we do this. Yeah.
And there's descriptions for a lot of the things. I think we missed a lot of the content of the game just because we didn't look everywhere. Yeah. But there is a little bit of DMing in there where we were like, sometimes it'd be like, look in this room, and there wasn't a description, so we just kind of came up with a description.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah, I played real quick.
Yeah.
I barely had time to finish my food.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a fun game.
Yeah.
I definitely do another one of those.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things that once you do it, can't really do it again.
Yeah.
No, definitely not.
But it's great to watch somebody who hasn't done it do it.
I mean, I guess you could do it again if, like, because at the end you do score it. And so, like, if, the person running it didn't tell you what you'd missed, and they were just like, you got, like, 10 points less than you could have. Like, there's more you could do.
Yeah, we got like 86 to your guys' 91 or something like that.
I think we were like 98, 96, somewhere up there.
Yeah. And then we were 5 underneath you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were close. There were a couple little things we missed, but so we played that.
They run like $2 on their website, and you can just print them off. And like I said, I think there's a Kickstarter coming to try and get a whole big book collection of those.
Nice.
Yeah, which I'm sure we'll talk about more when that comes out.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing I played was a 5-player game of Terraforming Mars on Sunday. It rained on Sunday as well. It's been kind of a rainy last couple days. It was kind of overcast all day, looking like it was going to rain, but the weather was nice overall, so we played out on the patio. And then about halfway through the game, it started pouring, and we were like, oh, this is kind of nice. Like, the rainstorm's, just coming straight down out there. Like, we're sitting here on the patio, covered patio thing, and then all of a sudden the wind started to blow. And it was like, your board's getting kind of wet, dude.
Yep.
And so we hurriedly snapped a picture of the game and moved it inside real quick to continue playing, which I managed to take a picture of the entire board and everything except for the one corner where all of the terraforming rating markers were, which were like the only things that really got moved on the board also.
Yep.
So hopefully we managed to get that close to right.
I'm pretty sure Paul's was 4 higher than it should have been. That's why I lost.
Clearly. The game ultimately came down to Zach and Paul playing for first, Wesley and I 20 points behind them playing for third, and then Richard 20 points further back and playing.
It was his first game, and we have all played a lot. So
yeah.
Did you give him beginner or just
we gave him the option?
Oh,
and he wanted to do the other one, so we're like, okay,
all right, enjoy last place.
Yep.
Yeah, but
because you can't make smart decisions on your first game.
Yeah, you just don't know what's really out there coming around or any of that. But he liked it. He wants to play again,
and he said he's probably thinking of buying it now. So I was like, all right, well, make sure to get one of those either overlays or some sort of player board replacement.
Yep.
I have not.
That's why we haven't played your copy.
Also, yes.
We haven't played my copy in a while either. Mine might be the only sleeved copy. Yeah.
I thought I saw somebody else with sleeves the other day. Whatever. Neither here nor there. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up what we've been playing.
Indeed.
So I think we can move the show along.
Indeed. To the bloody, 15 minutes.
Yep, bloody half hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a long one.
So we played a tournament.
And he says we because I got guilted into doing it.
the hashtag drafted.
Yep.
So we played a tournament at Barrel Beer Co., a brewery here in Denver. And this was the Barrel Bowl. Barrel like the stone.
Oh, Barrel Bowl.
And then the Barrel Bowl as in barrels because the Ant is the barrel overlord at Epic and also made us ordered little tiny barrels that we could use as turn markers.
Yep.
And then we also got glasses that said Barrel Bowl on them.
They're really nice glasses.
Which are super cool.
Yeah, he went all out.
Yeah.
Spared no expense.
Indeed.
There were supposed to be dice, but they didn't come in time.
They will be here like Sunday or something.
Yeah.
So we all got there at like 9:30. We ordered our beers by 10 a.m. We started pairing off teams and signing up and everything. And so we only had 14 people, and that meant that Ant could not play.
And I would just happen to be sitting there on my ass drinking a beer.
Just hanging out, was not going to be playing at all.
Mm-mm.
You and Adrian were going to just like hang around and play something.
For a little while. And like I was thinking, I was like, I could probably just leave for a little while and come back.
Yeah. And then Ant's like,
right in front of everybody.
It's like, Zach, if you play, I can play. Yeah, it's like, I can't play unless you join Zach. And then Zach chugged the rest of his beer and said, fine.
Yep.
And so we spent like 20 minutes like quickly drafting him a team. He used my orcs, my roster, really. And then I sort of also gave you all of your skills that you were supposed to use.
Yep.
And then you got matched up with the rest of us.
I did.
My first match was against Andrew. He played halflings in the last tournament. He had some bullshit dark elves the last couple seasons. Thankfully, I have not had to play against him this season because he's in the different division. I had lizardmen. I had never played lizardmen before. It was actually my first lizardman game. The dice were not on my side. They are my lizardmen are super high strength, super good move, average move, and super low agility and high armor, and he was just crushing my armor with just generic. He was just playing humans and was like killing my shit everywhere. Bad dice rolls, top to bottom. That game was 4-0 Andrew, my biggest loss ever, just because I just could not make a die roll. I could have gotten that game to like 2-1 at one point, and I just could not make any die rolls. I can dodge away at a 3+ on a reroll, could not make any of them that game. Couldn't, like 2+, nothing.
Right.
We should also mention that there was a special rule in this tournament. There was the anchor or the designated drinker on your team. Every game they got a little more drunk. So in the first game they got sidestep. So if they got hit, you could choose where they moved to. In the second game, they started getting a little rough, and they got dauntless, which means you can roll a die. And if you add that to your strength and it's more than theirs, you will then equal their strength. So someone is like strength 2 versus strength 5. You need a 3+. You need a 4+. And you will then be just strength 5 against them because they're just real angry about it.
Right, yeah.
And then in the last one, they will gain wild animal. You get real crazy and have to, unless you're blocking or blitzing, you have to roll a 2+ to do anything. If you're just trying to move or pick up the ball or anything, you have to roll a 4+. Because all they want to do is hit things. So I gave it to a skink. Strength 2. Agility 3. Armor 7. Yeah. So I lost real hard in that first game.
Right.
How did your first game go?
So I played against Wood Elves. It was a guy named Mike.
Okay.
Overall, I lost 2-0, which not surprised.
I lost 4-0 against humans.
Yes.
So.
But the first time, in the first drive, because I elected to kick first, I think. I elected to kick. So did you receive the ball in the first turn, or did you kick the ball? Okay, so that one I received it, but then I ended up losing the ball somehow, and then the Wood Elves got it, and then I had this pretty nice line, but then I didn't realize. So the Wood Elves have War Dancers, and one of their abilities is Leap, where they can just jump over basically a line, like 2 spaces.
We call that elfie bullshit.
And I was like, as soon as I saw that jump over, I was like, okay, well, you have a point now, because I had nobody in the backfield. And then so he ended up scoring another point, and I only got like 2/3 of the way through the game. But basically, after
we were on timers.
Yeah, we were on timers. After he got that first goal, I was like, okay, my goal now is just to kill Wood Elves. So that's what I did. I cast 4 of his guys.
There you go.
It was just his lineman, unfortunately. But it was still nice because I had what was his name, Ripper.
You had a star player.
I had a star player
troll
named Ripper.
Strength 6.
Movement 4.
He has grab, so he can like move him around. Move the person that he's hitting around.
Yep.
Ripper apparently did real well for you.
Yes, mainly because so his movement's 4, and smartly, my opponent made sure to never have a guy next to him. And so I would say about 80% of my blitzes that game were with Ripper.
Yeah.
Just because he had 6 strength and most of the Wood Elves had 2. Mm-hmm. And so if I had if I had 2 to 6, so I could just run up and do a 3-die.
Yeah.
And I rolled at least 12 3-die hits.
It's not bad.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. But yeah, overall I did lost, but I didn't think I did that. Once I learned the mistake that first game, I got close to scoring, but I did not score on that one. So,
Gotcha. So my second game was against Paul, not our bullshit friend Paul.
Nope.
But
Damn, sorry, Paul.
no, don't be sorry.
We throw so much shade at him, and he's never even here to defend himself.
I mean, that's fine. How do you think we talk about you when you're not around?
Fuck Paul.
A different Paul who's sent in emails and such before. So he's been playing Blood Bowl with Ant and decided to join us for this tournament. He was playing Skaven. I had never played against Skaven before, so it was Lizardmen versus Skaven. He's a newer player, so I was trying to help him out throughout the game and trying to remind him of certain things that he would have to do to be like, it was like, oh yeah, you forgot to roll against my armor. Oh yeah, don't forget you get a reroll on that. You don't have to use a team reroll because he's got dodge built in. Stuff like that. Skaven are kind of squishy, and I started off real early just smashing stuff. So he ended up getting the first point, but then I came back and scored, I want to say 2 after that, and got a final score of 2-1. He had a star player that I casualtied out pretty early. His star Skaven gutter runner or whatever he has stab. Mm-hmm. Stab, you don't even have to roll block dice. You just roll armor.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like, all right, armor hit. But I believe it's a secret weapon and they can get banned for it or something. Yeah, and then my skink with Dauntless was pretty useful because he could just blitz dudes and be like, all right, 2+, I equal your strength, and now you're fucked.
Nice.
Yeah, so against the Skaven, I did pretty well. It was a very competitive game, especially because Paul is newer. I was not going easy on him, but I also could not, or else I was going to get beaten.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and then it sort of turned, and then that was that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So my second game was with our bullshit friend Paul.
Bullshit Paul.
Yep.
That's his name now.
He was also playing Wood Elves. Mm-hmm. His team's name was Elfie Bullshit.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he did not pull any Elfie bullshit.
Well, unfortunately for him.
Yeah. One, I learned I learned from my previous game, so I did have a line that was pushing forward, but I had at least 2 to 3 guys in the back at all times.
The tackle guy.
Yep. I had the tackle guy and a blitzer.
Yep. The Mighty Blow blitzer, probably.
Yes. But then also, apparently Paul just couldn't get how to do offense on the elves.
It was the first time he had played Wood Elves.
Yes. And so I kept pushing him back, and then at the end of the game, I got 6 casualties on him, including both ward answers and his thrower.
Wow.
That was that.
Yeah. It felt really nice. And then at the end of the second half, on the 5th turn, I had a blitzer with the ball that was 8 spaces away. So he ran his 6 spaces, did a go for it, and then had to do one more go for it, which is just a 2+ to score. And I rolled. I got a 1. I'm like, okay, re-roll. Well, here we go. Oh, look at that. It's another 1.
So he fell face down on touchdown.
Yep, and then the ball just bounced around. Luckily, it didn't go into
the crowd.
Did not go into the crowd.
Okay, because they will throw that ball.
Yes,
a distance.
And then basically, I spent 3 turns trying to get that fucking ball
because it was on the touchdown.
It was on the touchdown. I kept trying to pick it up, and it kept bouncing around. And then at one point, Paul would just send his Wood Elves to surround it so that it'd be a lot harder for me to pick up. And I sent a Black Orc blocker, which has agility 2, to try and pick it up just on the fuck chance. And I had to get
a 6.
Yeah, I did get a 6, and I rolled a 4 or something like that. I was like, God damn it. And then it ended up bouncing into the crowd.
Okay.
And then he rolled the dice. So you roll a D3, which is,
you can go left, right, or straight.
Yep. And it went to the left, and then he rolled the 2 dice. He rolled a 2. So it just bounced my neck. And then on my 8th turn, I was finally able to pick it up and then dodge away to be able to score. And then so on Paul's turn 8, he had to do a bunch of bullshit in order to
trying one-turn touchdown.
One-turn touchdown. First thing he had to roll, he failed it, and he didn't have any rerolls.
That's it.
Yep. And
all right.
like, all right.
That's over.
Yep. So I ended up winning that one 1-0, and I got 6 casualties from that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Got a lot of casualties in that one.
I did, yes.
Wow.
I was at 10, and Ant was coming up, and he had 8 casualties at that time. And he's like, "Oh, god damn it!"
Ant was playing ogres in that game,
Yeah.
which is one of the worst teams because it's like 4 big ogres or like 3 big ogres, 3 or 4, whatever.
He had 4 big old ogres, and then also a star player that was also had boneheaded. So he had 5 things he had to roll on in order to even do.
Yes, and then the rest of his team is filled up with snotlings who are like 20k and have the worst stat line in the game, and then they're titchy, which means like they take extra injury roll and extra injuries, and yeah, it's bad. They're bad. They're not good. So the final game was against a man, I don't remember his name. I think it was Scott. He was playing humans. So I was playing against another human team, and things did not go well for him right at the beginning either. So he wasn't running an ogre, so he had no big guy. I have the lizard men can have 6 Sorai, and they are all strength 4, and they can have a Croxagore who is strength 5. So I have like 7 guys that are over strength 4 against humans with no ogre. It was kind of just smashy. I want to say that game ended 2-0, 3-0, somewhere in there. Nothing dramatic really happened in that one besides me winning. But at that point, from my first game being such a trounce, I was well out of competition for anything special.
Yeah.
How'd your third game go?
So I actually had to play against Ant.
Oh.
Yeah. And both of us were, well, by that time I had 10, like when I had 10 casualties, people were like, "Oh, you're in the running for the most brutal, for the most casualties in the game." I'm like, okay, well, I think I'm going to try and do that then.
In the tournament.
Which is what Ant was going for in the tournament the whole time.
And so...
And now you're playing against a stunty team with really weak dudes that are really easy to casualty.
And then 5 guys that have a hell of a lot of strength.
Yes, they do.
And so I elected to kick off on that one, on the first one, because I wanted to receive on the second half.
Okay.
And his first turn, he killed one of my Black Orc blockers, and I was like,
uh-oh.
This is turning out different than my other 2 games. Because my other 2 games, not a single armor break, I don't think. Or maybe 1 armor break, but then I got
Against
stunned.
you.
Yeah, I had nobody knocked out or casualtied. So the first thing, I was like, oh god, one of my 4 strength guys is already gone. That's not good. And so through the game, in the first half, Ant kept trying to pick up the ball and just could not. Just
didn't happen.
Just never happened, and I was actually able to get a blitzer up around his guys, grab the ball, dodge away, and then score.
Wow.
Yeah. And then and so I was slowly killing his snotlings, but he was slowly killing my guys at a slightly stronger pace. He killed 2 Black Orc blockers and my tackle guy, and then another lineman too.
I remember your casualty box being pretty big.
Yes, especially because the ogres are pretty big. It was a nice little pile.
Dense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the second round, he ended up getting the ball right next to my end zone and just hung there for a couple rounds. And there was like literally nothing I could do to try and stop it.
He was trying to run the clock.
Yeah, he was trying to run the clock out. But then in order for him to win, he had to score and then try and score again. And one of the times he tried to pick up
Snotling.
Pick up a snotling, because you can throw the snotling.
Yes,
like
you can.
Yes, you can.
And
At someone else. Doesn't have
yes. No, at someone else. And he had it perfectly lined up to where he had to throw the ball, and then the snotling would have landed somewhere and then ran for the goal because the snotling hadn't moved yet.
1-turn touchdown.
Yeah.
So he had probably picked up the ball, handed it off to the snotling, so the snotling could be thrown and then run the ball in.
Yeah. He had a bunch of 4 or 2 and 3 plus, but then also 4, and I think there was 1 5 plus he had to make in order to do it. And then it came down for the snotling to land. No, all he needed was a 4 plus, a good old 50-50 from Ant. And so, Adrian, can you guess how that turned out for him?
Ant failed.
Yes.
As is tradition.
Snotling killed itself.
Dead. Splat.
Yep. And
Snotling forgot he had to land feet first.
yeah, instead of head first.
Yeah.
And so we ended up tying 1-1 on that one. And I got 3 casualties, and all snotlings. And then
Of course.
he had 4 casualties. But luckily, that brought him to 12 casualties, but me to 13 casualties.
And there was other people with 12 casualties, which gave Zach
The most brutal trophy.
most brutal trophy.
Yep.
That's what I won with that same team last tournament.
Nice. It was definitely bashy. I liked it.
Yep.
It was good. Although afterwards, I found it, like, I thought of an even better name for my team of I wasn't even supposed to be here today.
That would have been good.
Yeah. But yeah, that was but after I was done with that, I was like, okay, I do not need to play Blood Bowl again for a little while.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Take a break.
Yeah, take a break.
He's got all his review games in clearly.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Well, I can tell you have to play me.
Yep. Well, I'm fine. Like, my next game could be against
Now you're just gonna crush Adrian.
Yep.
Because you're like 5 games in.
I'm gonna have 11 rippers.
Yeah, this is how the game works, right?
Yeah. I just
Adrian's not gonna know.
$5 million team.
Yeah, 5 mil. They're only 270K each.
Yep. It's fine.
Multiply that by 11.
And then I'm gonna have a shitload of rerolls,
8
apothecary.
rerolls a
Yep.
turn. Or 8 rerolls a half.
Yep. Unlimited blitzes.
At this point, I'm pretty sure you haven't played at all, and you're just making things up.
I just want all your team to die. So Ant got a pitch clear. He was the only one that got a pitch clear.
Oh, that's nice.
Paul, bullshit friend Paul, got. He's the only one that got a 1-turn touchdown.
Which was not easy. It was the not the leapy bullshit or anything like that. He had to set up pushes in the exact dice rolls and dodges, and it's very hard to actually get that to happen. I think Ant calculated it out. It was like a 12% chance of it happening, and he pulled it off. The only 1-turn touchdown.
Yeah, and then another person who was also playing with Ripper, which was that star player that I had.
I want to say that's Dan.
Yeah, he rolled a 3-die skull.
Yes, that was also,
And he had no rerolls, so he just had to take it.
there was a rule in the tournament: go big or go home. If you ever roll triple pow, it is auto armor break. If you ever roll triple skull, it is auto armor break. So the triple skull, you are down, and your armor is immediately broken. Take an injury.
And you asked, he's like, was there anybody who had to go big or go home? And he's like, I did. And he's like, he had to go big or go home, and he went home.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was that was
Barrel bowl.
Yeah, barrel bowl.
barrel bowl.
I know it was a big part of Ant's decision
Yep.
making process for naming that.
Yep.
Yeah,
I wasn't even supposed to play, and I won a trophy.
indeed.
In your face, Jeff.
Yeah,
That sucked for me because we were gonna do some like live recording again, like we did the last Blood Bowl tournament, and we're gonna maybe play some 2-player games and check some stuff out. And I get there, and Zach's like, "Oh yeah, I'm playing." By the way, it was like, well, it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning. I could just sit here and drink while everybody plays Blood Bowl. There's no one else in the brewery except for the Blood Bowl players and the bartender. I'll go home.
and some other people
Yeah.
putting kegs in vans for deliveries.
Yeah, they weren't when I was there.
Yeah, and we got there at 9:30, and we ended up leaving around 9:30 p.m. So
It was an all-day affair.
yeah,
We did have a lunch break.
God damn.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
Blood Bowl.
we started at about 11 or 11:15.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's it for games.
That is it for games.
But then we move on to the news and the Kickstarters. And we're gonna start with news.
All right. First up.
First up in news, Through the Desert is getting a reprint. Zach, you know about this game.
Yes, both me and Adrian do.
I own
yeah.
Through the Desert, so I probably know more about it than Zach, although Zach's played a couple times.
Well, I wasn't that big a fan.
Yeah, and Zach didn't really care for it. So Through the Desert is an older Reiner Knizia game where you basically play as Bedouins building camel caravans through the desert, thus the name Through the Desert. And in the game, each player on their turn can place 2 camels, and your camels there's 6 colors of camel, and each person has a rider for each color. And so you're just building trains of the color, and then you play until 2 of the piles of camels run out, and then you get scoring for things like longest camel, any oasis tokens you pick up, touching, or any watering hole tokens you touch, or you pick up any oases you touch. And then if you can manage to close off entire areas of the board, you get points for every tile that you closed off. It's a relatively simple game that has some pretty interesting strategy. I think one of the things, Zach, that didn't go well for you is that I think both times I've played it with you, we played 5 players. And I do think 5 players just crowds the board too much. And it kind of takes away a lot of that strategy there. You're just kind of like, well, I'm just going to do whatever it is I can do rather than like what I want to do. So all of that just to point out that, yes, Z-Man is now going to be adding it to their line of Euro classics. And so it's getting a whole bunch of updated art and graphic overhaul.
The board definitely looks a lot better. It looks like the tiles that you get for like points and stuff, those look better. But it looks like the camels look about the same.
Yeah, I mean,
the same with the little oases too.
Yeah, I think the art's updated, but I don't know if I'd really say it's better. The main thing that I do really like looking at this board is that chunk on the side that you take off for 3 or fewer players.
It's easier to see now.
It's like slightly shaded different. Like it looks like it's part of the terrain.
Yeah.
And so they blend that rather than just having a big bold line that just cuts off a chunk of the board. Looks like, otherwise everything looks roughly in the same position. There's still stuff in the,
it looks like they're going to have some new gameplay variants too.
That could be interesting.
Let's look there.
Seems like it will be out very soon. I would be surprised if this not at Gen Con.
I mean, they don't have an announcement on the date. They just say we're arriving soon, so we'll see.
Usually if they're not throwing like quarterly release dates in there, it's like, see you next week. Or like, usually they'll put in, I bet it's coming out this quarter.
Yeah.
So. The box art looks a lot better.
The box art is fantastically upgraded. The original one was 1998, by the way.
Yeah.
So long overdue.
Yes.
So that is Through the Desert, and it's a new Euro Classic version.
Yeah. Coming soon.
Yep.
Whenever that is. Next up is a new Time Stories expansion is coming out. Estrella Drive. Want to say this one takes place in 1982.
In Hollywood, California.
Yep. And this one seems to be like a haunted mansion setting.
Yep.
Because people don't know that time, what is it called? The name of the stupid things that you fix in this game.
Oh, fissures in the time stream?
Yeah. Those people didn't realize that was just like, they weren't haunted cities, they were haunted mansions. It was just time rifts making things move.
And they have a couple pictures of the people, and I do like the art style.
I'm digging this art style.
Anomalies.
Yep. There are apparently 6 different, they call them receptacles, but that's like characters you can play as.
Yep.
And one is a ghost hunter, and then one is a dishonest maid.
Yes. I think this one's interesting. It's got a mature audience warning on it, and it says that it is recommended for mature audiences. Certain themes within this adventure may be objectionable to younger players. So, we really got to get back on that
Time Stories train.
Well, I wonder why we haven't had a chance to do it yet.
Because my girlfriend, who we play with, is in New Mexico.
Yes.
Or Portland, or
Saudi
Riyadh.
Arabia.
She was in Seattle for a little bit. We started playing after Riyadh. Anyway, that's Estrella Drive, and all the rest of that stuff is neither here nor there.
It should come out. It says 4th quarter this year. So
sometime this winter.
Winter is always coming.
Next up.
Games Workshop is being sued for $62.5 million.
Yeah.
So Games Workshop is being sued by like a guy for $62.5 million.
And 6 criminal complaints.
Yes. Fraud, price fixing, torturous interface, breach of contract.
Interference.
And you know what? You said interference.
Yeah.
And then I still almost read it as inference. Torturous interference, breach of contract, unjust enrichment, restraint of trade, conspiracy, and antitrust violations. It sounds like this guy's had enough of all the bullshit that Games Workshop does. Because they do a lot of bullshit, like minimum orders. Price fixing is probably something that they could get hit with. I think a lot of this other stuff is maybe not legally valid, but I'm not a lawyer, so Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's Florida,
I
so
feel like he's the reason there's so many is he's throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks.
he
Which
clearly has enough money for a lawyer.
price
so,
fixing and unjust enrichment, maybe.
Yeah, like making people order a certain amount of product at bare minimum kind of sucks. Games Workshop's business model for quite some time has really sucked. So maybe we'll see something come out of this. I don't know, in 5 years, whenever this actually gets out of court.
Probably nothing, but it's
Well, I don't know. Like the comment I see here says, price fixing and unjust enrichment might stick. Restraint of trade in only how there's contract limited sales, and the breach of contract could be a monster if it is documented. That might be how they get torturous interference, like forcing them to rebudget to meet requirements that seem to change every month. If any of this is found to bear fruit and can be proven it's multi-state, then there's a RICO case alone. So, yeah. Maybe this is why there was the split with Games Workshop and
Fantasy Flight.
Fantasy Flight saw this coming. They were like, nope, we're out.
There's probably more that Games Workshop was tired of Fantasy Flight eating into their, like, we don't need Fantasy Flight to publish all of our licensed
No,
games now.
I'm sure that was more the
We
case.
can just make our own.
Blackjack's and hooker. So
Yep.
Just the one hooker. You only need one.
Next up.
Next up is a new game from Fantasy Flight called Legacy of Dragonholt, which is a narrative adventure game in the Runebound universe.
Cooperative, too.
Yes, cooperative. Zach and I were talking about how best to describe this game before the podcast, and we were thinking like, this could be Time Stories-esque, cooperative, thematic, RPG-esque.
But without a DM and stuff like that.
Yeah, so like the game is going to control the stuff that happens more than the players or a DM having to guide you through the adventure. There'll be a bunch of different like adventure packs that you get with them, like 6 different adventures you can go on.
The quests is what they're calling them.
Yeah.
Because it's using this thing called the Oracle system, which is the first game of theirs that uses it.
Okay.
But the way they say it makes it sound like if this is successful, they're going to do it with other things.
That could be cool.
Yeah.
I like Runebound a lot. I like that universe a lot. Played a lot of games in there.
That's where like Rune Wars is, right?
Rune Wars, Runebound,
Descent?
Okay.
Okay.
It's all part of their kind of fantasy universe.
Their generic fantasy
Yes,
place.
their generic fantasy universe. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Maybe there will be something at Gen Con about it. I mean, it just got announced, but I would doubt they don't have in their little preview production glass case.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have it in the case. It says it'll be at your local retailer in Q4. So
yeah, I doubt it'll be for sale. If it is, I'm buying the shit out of it.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And that's it for news.
that is indeed it for news.
Dragonholt.
Dragonholt. Get it? It's like Steve Holt, Adrian.
Steve Holt. Who's Steve Holt?
He's from Arrested Development.
Steve Holt?
Yeah, Steve Holt.
Steve Holt.
Yeah, he's the like jock guy. Steve Holt.
I know.
Oh,
I know
okay.
Arrested Development.
Well, you never know.
Gobson.
Jesus.
We're going to move on to Kickstarters. First up on Kickstarters is going to be Reaper Miniatures Bones 4, Mr. Bones Epic Adventure. This one is extremely funded.
Jesus.
$1,067,000 of a $30,000 goal. 9,600 backers, and this one's got over 3 weeks to go. You can get in on this for about $100 for Wave 9, as Waves 1 through 8 have already sold out.
You know, when we were looking at this like before the show, you know, I saw that it was on Wave 9 and that it was funded and everything. I didn't realize that it was 1 million of its 30,000 goal already.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
This just launched not too long ago.
So guys, we need to get into the custom miniature molding business.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Just from the ground up, no problem.
Yeah, I don't see what could go wrong.
I would say everyone should at least go and take a look at all of the amazing miniatures that they have on here. Reaper Miniatures has been around for a very long time. They were sort of like an old miniatures company when I first started playing Games Workshop stuff in like the early 2000s, late 90s. So they've been around for forever. But these all look super awesome.
The dragon's like this tall.
The dragon is how big tall?
It's 275 millimeters, so almost 11 inches.
Yeah.
Like that.
About a foot, just shy of a foot. These Shut up, Zach.
Huh?
These kinds of minis and things make me wish that like I had the free time and the right group to do like really awesome RPG adventures, just chock full of minis, and these are all just ridiculously huge minis.
Yes, I recommend everyone go onto the website just to look at how awesome they are. The only thing I don't like is the material they use to make all of the miniatures.
Yeah.
It's super. Ant got his Reaper Bones 3 in like, I don't know, 2.5 years after he pledged. It's super soft.
Yeah.
Very bendy plastic. Not quite resin. Definitely not anything metal, but whatever they use is I'm not a huge fan of. But that's probably how they can best get, give you like hundreds of miniatures for the price.
Yeah.
I think the $100 gets you 85 miniatures
So
for
far.
$100 so far.
So Ant's already backing it, of course,
Yep.
and he'll get it in like 3 years when it actually delivers.
Yeah, I'm not sure what wave he got.
Yeah.
will-
It says like the current waves are like February 2019. And he just got the last one, which was like a year and a half late or something like that.
Yeah.
So
we'll
2020, 2021, somewhere around there.
Somewhere
Correct.
in there.
Next up.
Next up is Total Recall, the official tabletop game. This one is about halfway funded, 11,000 of its 20,000 goal, 261 backers, and about 3 weeks left. You can pledge this one for a mere $26.
So, as a huge fan of the original Total Recall movie, like it's one of my favorite Arnold movies. It's fantastic.
You don't like the Colin Farrell one?
No,
I never saw that.
I unfortunately
It
did.
was PG-13. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, you can't do Total Recall and make it PG-13.
Nope.
That being said,
Get your butt to Mars.
when I first saw that this was a Kickstarter, I was like, oh, sweet. Like Zach put it on the list of Kickstarters, and I was like, sweet, Total Recall, awesome. After looking at it, it just seems like another kind of generic hidden role social deduction game.
Looks a lot like the Resistance.
It reminds me of Good Cop, Bad Cop.
Yeah.
Like you have the 3 cards that determine whether you're resistance or whether you're
Fed
corporate
supporter.
Fed. Yeah, feds. And yeah, it's got little guns that you use to shoot each other, a la things like Cash and Guns and the cop game.
That's because this is based off of that system. So
Yes.
Okay, well then there you go. And I
It's
don't like that system, so
Leaders of Euphoria? I think it's the same sort of thing.
gotcha. I'm also not a huge fan of the art style. Some of it looks good, some of it looks
Yeah, some of
real
it
bad.
looks like first draft.
Yeah.
So
It's definitely not right out of the movie or anything.
Luckily, it's not very much. You can get just the game for $26, and then you can go $38 to get like the gun minis and like a player mat and some extra stuff like that. And then $65 gets you every add-on that they have, all the paid add-ons and everything at a little bit of a discount. So if it sounds interesting, go check it out.
Yeah, it's like a bag for the turbinium and sleeves and a turbinium holding cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks all right. Maybe you'll think it's all right too.
So
Total Recall. It's about 3 weeks.
next up.
Next up, we have Flashpoint Tragic Events. Another well-funded one, $118,000 of a $10,000 goal, over 3,000 backers, but this one's only got about a week left to go, but is a mere $20 for the expansion and some other options if you want some of the older Flashpoint stuff.
you can pay $45 for this expansion and the original game, and it goes all the way up to $100 to basically it looks like everything that's
Pretty much
come out.
everything that's ever come. Yeah.
Right on. That's probably not a terrible deal. Jeff, you said you have a whole lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I don't need that $100 level or the $80 level or the $45 level because I literally have everything Flashpoint.
Have you played it before?
I have.
Do you like it?
It's good. It's a really fun co-op like fire rescue game. It with a lot of the expansions, it can get a little goofy, but this seems to just add a lot of different events and cards and things. Some more specialists and events and things. It's kind of like I don't know, mini expansion I'd call it, but it does add some new cool stuff to it. More event cards in that game don't hurt.
Right on. I've wanted to play it for a while. I've never had a chance to, but I've heard really good things.
Yeah, this is from Indie Boards and Cards?
Yes.
Cards and I can never remember the fucking
Indie
name.
Boards and Cards, IBC.
Yeah, almost all their Flashpoint stuff pretty much goes through Kickstarter from top to
Almost
bottom.
all of their stuff does.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this isn't as big of an expansion as previous ones. The Tragic Events is going to be replacing the hotspot mechanic in the experienced game.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then 3 new characters, basically specialists. There's some other cool expansions that you could have gotten, like the dog rescue one, so you can play as a dog.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Indeed. Got about a week left. Tragic events. Terrible, terrible events. This game's starting to get a little more sci-fi, too. Like, what firefighter has, like, a sweet LED goggles?
It's the future, man.
Yeah, it's the future. The future of firefighting has arrived. Next up on Kickstarters is The Brigade, the board game of fantasy firefighting.
Yes, continuing a trend.
Yes, well-funded, 21,000 of a 15,000 goal, 447 backers. This one's got about 3 weeks to go. You can pledge this one for $48.
But that does include free shipping for the
Indeed.
$48. So,
I like that their video thing says $49. But
Yeah,
then
well-
I'm sure it's rounding and stuff like that.
yeah, because even on the pledge for it's Australian 60, which says about 48, but then down below that it says US dollars 40, 40 euro, GPB.
The
British pounds.
yeah.
That's
No, yeah, well, it's supposed to be the pounds, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
pretty sure.
New Zealand dollar 64, Canadian dollar 60. So, but yeah, so this is another firefighting game. Plays quite a bit different from how I understand fire rescue plays. So on this one, you're going to have the town is made up of a grid of like tiles in the center of it.
What's the name of that town again?
Tinderbox.
Tinderbox.
Sounds like a safe town.
Yes.
Yes.
It's probably near water.
Especially considering in the very center of the city of Tinderbox is the Pyromancers University, which is then where the fire comes from. So basically, each player is going to be like playing where you're like a fire brigade that are competing for the town to love you. And so at the start of the game, you flip some cards that tell you where all the fireballs launch out of the Pyromancer University and start burning down the city. And you have to go around putting out fires, which will earn you like the loyalty of people in the town. But if you don't put out enough fires in enough time, the town evacuates, and then everyone loses.
Seeing that, and you said that you're different fire brigades, just reminds me of Gangs of New York.
Yes, that was just exactly what I thought of too.
The two brigades arguing while the house just burns to the ground.
Yeah, this looks super fun.
Yeah.
2 to 4 players, and it lasts 10 to 15 minutes per player, apparently. So,
Yeah,
So
so
4 players, it's an hour. It's not bad.
No, that's not bad at all. And I like the kind of goofy little artwork for it. Like the tiles themselves, they just have weird little building art on them that's nothing too crazy. But like the characters and stuff, I think have some kind of cool art. Stuff like kind of a silly art style, I would say.
Yeah, fantasy.
Yeah.
Colorful fantasy.
I
Cool
dig
part about this one is also is available on Tabletopia currently.
Yes. And you can, if you're a retailer or if you have 11 friends who want this game, you can also just pledge $478 and get 12 copies, which basically get 2 copies free.
Yes.
So you got a bunch of friends.
I mean, I'll take a free copy. Just let everybody else pay normal price.
That's
Correct. That's how that works
Yeah.
when you go in on them.
Yeah, for sure.
$200, a little over 200, like $220 to get 5 copies if you only have a couple friends. So, but yeah, that is The Brigade.
Indeed. Next up is something we talked about last week because we totally played it. Before the Earth Explodes, their Kickstarter has launched and has funded $6,500 or $6,600 of a $6,000 goal, 264 backers, and a little less than 3 weeks to go. This one you can pledge for $19.
Yep. So 2 things that I didn't realize about this. So Green Couch Games is apparently based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan, which I lived there for like 4 years. So that's kind of cool. And one of the designers is also named Adrian, which is also cool.
Is it? I don't
To
find
me, it is.
Yeah, but is that interesting, though? Whether you
it's-
find something
it's-
interesting?
It's really only a 50-50 on the coolness level, though. So does that average out? Or
I don't know.
Anyway, so this game is pledging, like we said last week, for $19 to get you 1 copy. You can jump up to $34 to get the 12 by 18 playmat. There's not really, at least currently, a whole lot of art on it. I don't know if that's like just a placeholder playmat that they have showing on the campaign or not.
I mean, it mainly looks just to show what the extra, like where they go
Yeah.
in relation. It still looks fine. And it looks like each of the planets and the ships have unique art now, which is good because we weren't sure.
Yeah, we were curious about that from our promo kit.
Yep.
Which, like, I thought they looked fine the way they were, but unique art is always much appreciated in games.
Yep.
It'll let each planet kind of have its own little flavor and each ship have its own little flavor, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah, like we talked about last week, this is a fun little rock, paper, scissors type game.
Yep.
For 2 players.
And it looks like the first couple stretch goals, I'm pretty sure they're going to hit the first one, probably the second one too. Is cloth resource bag, which is good because you have to draw out of it randomly.
Yes.
And so, like, when we were playing it, I was like, I'm just going to grab a bunch of things and then drop stuff out of my hands.
Yeah.
So having bags already with it is always good. And then a custom token too. So
Will there be pre-sharpened golf pencils?
probably not, because I don't think you need pencils for this game.
You do not.
It's some of the best stretch goals you can have.
Yeah, I mean, they might include it just so if you get pissed at someone, you just stab them in the eye with the pencil.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Good old eye stabbing.
I mean, it's before the Earth explodes. I mean, if that gets me off the Earth before it explodes, I will gladly stab someone in the eye with a golf pencil.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right.
What about with a normal size pencil?
I mean, that too, but,
Okay.
whatever I have on hand.
I mean, a golf pencil is easier to, like, smuggle into
There you go.
close proximity to somebody to stab them in the eye.
Yeah, you
with.
can't. You don't get as much leverage on it though, and you're gonna, if you hold it weirdly, and it's just like,
I don't know. Like, a full length pencil, it's if you move your hand just a little bit, the tip is moving all over the place. You got way less control.
yeah,
with
but
a longer
you can
one.
get a lot deeper in with that full length pencil. Just
You got to hit first, though.
Yeah.
That's the real challenge.
yeah.
Well then,
Indeed.
so that's before the Earth explodes. It's a fun little game. Go and check that out if you want to pick up an awesome little 2-player game.
Yeah.
And if you want to stab people in the eyes with pencils, to go to a store.
Yes.
To buy pencils.
Yes.
Don't
And then,
have-
I mean,
You don't have to stab the people in the store, but
could I borrow a pencil real quick?
Next up on Kickstarter.
next up on Kickstarter is something I don't know if anyone needs, but it's super cool. This one is a Fog Monster mini fog machine for tabletop games and special effects. Pretty well funded, 56,000 of its 45,000 goal. 565 backers, about 3 weeks left to go. You can pledge this one for about $85 with lots of other little cool add-ons on top.
So you misspoke earlier. You said, kind of cool, little awesome thing. I think you meant to say completely ridiculous thing that I don't know why anyone would ever need this.
Because sometimes you need fog.
If you own that much like D&D dungeon terrain, you can afford a fog machine to fill it with sweet fog for your miniatures.
Just think of the next time you play D&D, if you were in a graveyard and there was fucking fog around, you'd be like, that is awesome.
Yeah. So it's a little fog machine. You can use these in your standard 3D dungeon tiles for your RPGing.
So I'm just remembering, because when we played, it was just on a map. There was just a flavor. You imagine using that on a map. It just blocks the entire map. You can't see anything.
This is definitely for people that already have sweet 3D dungeon terrain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Comes with like little tubing and stuff, so you can pipe it in through certain areas. They also have little LED lights that
Remote
you can
controlled LED lights.
Yep, that you can hide behind walls and grates to give the fog lighting.
Yep. And that's just the base one too, which is like, it's a clear plastic one. You can also get one that's called a dark tower, which is a little bit more expensive, and it actually sort of it looks like a tower, so you can actually put it right in the center, right in the middle of your 3D terrain, and have it the pump or the fog just pump out from there.
Yeah. They also have like little storm drains and stuff that you can that are built to fit the tubing for the fog, so it can come like right out of the sewer grate and stuff.
Lights too, and
Yeah.
A bunch of stuff like that coming on some stretch goals that they might unlock.
If you've already paid a lot of money for sweet 3D terrain,
and have about $100 lying around.
well, why not get this sweet fog machine?
Yeah.
It looks really cool though. The videos are
It actually
are
does
awesome.
look pretty
Yeah.
cool.
How much are regular fog machines?
I feel that would be too much fog. This is just the right amount of miniature fog.
It just coats the entire room.
Yeah, it will, because then it gets really thematic, and everybody pulls out their robes, like that, because that's how you play D&D, right? In full costume at the table.
Yep.
It's a lot of pot smoke.
The hot smoke in the air,
Or
the fog
it's-
machine on the ground. It's just gonna
Or it's just one Richard with a vape pen.
Yes. Just get Richard to come over and blow vape smoke onto your 3D terrain.
Here you go, Adrian.
Oh, yeah. It's a barrel.
Oh.
From the barrel bowl.
Terrible.
That's it for Kickstarters.
That is indeed it for Kickstarters. All right, well, yeah, so now moving on to the listener feedback section of the show, we can call it, I guess.
Yeah. Whatever.
Jeff, you still have a bunch of Gloomhaven emails, and we
Indeed.
got some new emails.
Absolutely. We're almost done with the Gloomhaven ones. We're almost at the end of that tunnel. But we'll start here from Nathan. And if you want to send emails, don't forget, emails at milehighgameguys.com if you would like to send us an email. Just about anything. Emus. Whatever. First email comes from Nathan. Hi, Adrian, Zach, Jeff. Started listening a month or so ago. I didn't realize your email had been burned into my brain until I needed to remember it for this contest. Anyways, you guys have a great dynamic and sound like really good friends chatting about board games. Keep up the good work. My random fact is that nearly half the world's population has never drunk alcohol. From the World Health Report. Surprised? Not surprised. Cheers, Nate.
It's good to hear our acting is so great.
Well, so first of all, yeah, as soon as Jeff that, you guys sound like good friends talking about board games. I glance over, and Zach's giving me this side-eye look. Like,
Surprised it's not two middle fingers right into your face.
yeah.
we just glare at each other constantly.
Yes.
So as far as the statistic there about half the world's population not having had alcohol, that is fairly surprising. There's also a statistic I saw the other day that something like 80% of Americans only have like one drink a week, which how do you only have one drink a week?
So some
or
people
less?
do not need alcohol to function, Adrian.
I don't either, but damn, it's tasty. I mean, pretty much any time I have a beer, I'm gonna have two.
It's not just going to be one.
I mean, that's just pretty much a given. I was surprised. I saw that a while back on Reddit that some ridiculous number of Americans have one or less drinks on average per week, which is crazy. So yeah, I could believe that half the world's population hasn't had alcohol. I mean, especially if you're going entire population, a good chunk of those are kids who probably shouldn't have had alcohol.
To be
But
fair.
then there are some kids that have, so.
Yeah, probably.
Next email.
Next email comes from Patrick. Hi, Jeff. Something interesting. As discussed on previous episodes, friend of the show, Will, it's Wes. It's not Will.
Wes, yeah.
And I are architects with additional LEED BD plus C accreditation. So what does that mean? The LEED AP accredited professional credential signifies an advanced depth of knowledge in green building practices. It also reflects the ability to specialize in particular LEED rating system. BD plus C applies to building design and construction. Please give us another chance to talk about AP-ness. Patrick.
That's great, Patrick. Well done.
Yep. I knew it was coming. I was
yeah.
not reading it.
Give you an AP on that one.
Yeah.
A plus.
All right. On to some newer emails.
This one is fantastic.
So, Jeff, what do you want in this?
This email comes from Matt, titled Jeff Wants Emus. So I keep hearing all these cries for emus. Is Jeff lonely and in need of a soft bird to cuddle with?
Yes.
Adrian, you should consider helping Jeff set up an account at lonelyforemus.com. Here are some lovely, dainty birds he could possibly build a nest with. And then there's a bunch of pictures of emus.
To go along with these descriptions.
Yeah, so emu face. Isn't she cute? Couldn't you see yourself spending the night playing tail feathers with this beauty? She likes miniature games but hates orcs.
So, how do you feel about that one, Jeff?
She's looking longingly into your eyes.
indeed.
Like that's a great
So the
picture.
thing about emus, they could murder me at any second is the real... they're like smaller ostriches.
It adds spice to a relationship.
Smaller,
Yeah,
meaner
just real,
ostriches.
Just real fear into the...
So what's emu number 2?
This is a tall emu. So Jeff likes long legs, huh? Well, here's a a tall drink of water for you. She's really good at dexterity games and likes going to cons. She's like Diva at times, though. I assume Overwatch Diva, like a Diva. Understandable. Yeah, that looks like it could murder me. Mostly the feet.
What is that? What is that? The flightless bird that starts with a C, like carrot, but it's like these. Those are the ones that are like straight up.
Oh yeah, they're in like Far Cry 4.
It's like the most aggressive fucking things ever.
Yeah,
I don't know.
just look up Far Cry 4 bird.
That's what I'm doing.
Yep. Now here's an emu screaming. This firecracker is huge into Blood Bowl, but doesn't take losing well. She lost 3 games over 4 seasons. The title she lost in Season 2 led to the champion getting an eye pecked out. Maybe she could help you with your ant problem. Smiley face emoji. No, it was winky face. It was winky face emoji. And then a emu smoker in a hat. Well, in case you swing the other way, this gentleman enjoys abstract games and Uwe Rosenberg titles. He is also great at carrying your game collection around, but he does enjoy his tobacco and booze. Well, hopefully this helps you with your emu hunt, Jeff. Good luck. Now, get the flock out of here, Matt, from Cardboard Carnage.
Cassowaries?
Cassowaries, yes.
Wow.
These things like this, like they will straight up.
Oh, they'll murder you.
They will murder. Yeah.
So this email, like when I first saw this pop up in the inbox, like Jeff and emus, what? Like what is happening here? And then my like it did the same thing like I see on your tablet there. Like all the pictures get dropped to the bottom.
Yeah.
So I was reading through the descriptions. I was like, what is he talking about?
Yeah.
And then I get to the bottom and it's like, oh, here are pictures to go along with it.
Indeed.
It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
We'll have to try and post that somewhere.
Indeed. Must happen.
Anyway, next email.
Comes from Wes. R.E. Eldritch. A few thoughts. 1. I do believe that depending on which old one you play with, you build the Mythos deck in a specific way with a specific number of easy, medium, or hard cards. It's not just shuffle them all together and hope for the best. That's one of the reasons why the different old ones play so differently. Some of them have a much more difficult Mythos deck. Zach's the only one that's read the rules.
I'm looking that up right now.
So look it up.
I mean, in the rules, there's two. Like some people are saying, there's 2 different types. I know you can build you build different ones because it has different amounts of the green and yellow and blue ones depending on which age you set up or on each of the 3 different phases. But like in the rules, it's you either do it all randomly in terms of the green ones. So you just shovel all the green ones together and then just draw 3 for this one and then 3 of this one and then 2 for this one. Or you can do it where they ascend in difficulty as the game progresses.
Okay.
So you'd have the easy ones in phase 1, the medium, the normal ones in phase 2, and then the hard ones in phase 3.
Okay.
So,
But there's nothing about the ancient ones that say anything specific about...
Not that I saw.
Okay. And we did do some research on, there's a lot of people that make, like depending on the difficulty, how many of each color you should have in there, like you were saying.
Yeah.
But I don't know what you're talking about, Wes.
Crazy paints.
Yep. Number 2. I actually really enjoy the game at 6 players. The group that I play with usually ends up playing with 5 or 6, more due to the fact that it is the only big, long thematic game that we have that plays that many. On nights where we only have 4, we play different games, but that don't go so high in player count, Star Wars Rebellion, for example. But if there are 6, the only option at hand is Eldritch. It certainly plays a lot longer at 6 than 4, but I don't find it worse because of that. I don't know.
Like for me,
Depends on how much time you have.
Yeah. And then for certain, I know Adrian might play again at 4, on occasion.
Yeah, occasionally.
I don't see yourself playing 6-player ones. That's just too long for the game, that type of game for
Depends
you.
on how much your time is worth to you.
Unless Paul comes, he sits next to me, and I get to just burn his clask, in a little fire, and just poke, while he's forced to sit next to me and just watch.
Okay.
That would keep me entertained enough between turns.
Burning his games while he's just like a fire pit behind you. Just like Terraforming Mars, right in the fire pit.
Well, he's talked about playing clask in between turns, so I'd rather just burn clask.
Burn clask. Gotcha. 2.5. One thing that we do to keep people involved when it isn't their turn is that when you have an encounter, the player to your left reads the card to you, stopping when you have to roll a test, and only continuing to read based on what your result was. That way, it's not just each person taking their turn, but the table gets to participate in a more performative experience with a game master reading to a player and asking for a test and revealing the results.
Yeah, I could see that working. There's other games that
Yeah.
like actually tell you to do that kind of stuff, and that would definitely help. I mean, it's still with 6 players. That's involving 2 people. So there's still 4 people who don't really have much to do, which is unfortunate.
I mean, but like in each one of those things, it's people reading encounters off. So it's like Jeff reads his, and then I read, or Jeff reads his, then I read mine. Then you. It's not like
that's true.
not like
That's
he's
true.
taking his entire turn. And I know I make it a rule that whenever I play this, like I'm fine with people playing reading their own things, but when you're telling everybody what else you're doing, it's you say everything until your roll, and then you stop, you roll, and then you just read whatever your result was.
Yeah.
Out loud. Because like I've had some people be like, all right, so I need to roll this too, and I was like, you shut your face, roll those dice and just tell me if you succeeded or you failed. I don't care what the other one was. So.
In Arkham Horror, I think you went through an entire player's turn, including encounter, so there would be a lot of spread out encounters, so you could pass the card for
Yeah, that makes a lot
encounters.
more sense. It's like the same sort of thing in Tales of the Arabian Nights.
Yeah.
That's why I
Yeah.
really like that it has you spread that stuff out, because some of those turns can
Yeah.
get long.
I haven't played Arkham Horror in a long time, but I faintly remember everyone kind of reading each other's cards.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Make it a little more interesting. Ellipses. I hope you read that ellipses correctly, Wes. There was apparently ellipses between all of these points that I totally missed as well.
So you did not.
I did not.
Wait up. Fuck it up, Jeff.
read them correctly.
All right, let's just burn this podcast to the ground.
Correct.
Yep.
Burn everything.
Emails at milehighgames.
Finally, you fucked it up.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
I think you need to install a noose in here just in case Jeff fucks up like that again. He can be like, all right, I'm just going to end it.
Yep. It's not worth living anymore.
I'll somehow connect it to the ceiling fan, so it just slowly pulls him up into the blades, and he just.
Pretty sure that was in a Schwarzenegger movie.
Yes.
Okay.
It's been in several old cheesy movies.
Maybe Commando.
I think it also happened in like an indie movie or something. Like he whipped a guy around the neck and then threw his whip into the fan, and it choked somebody or something.
That'll happen.
Anyhow,
Let off some steam.
so stick around.
Yep.
I think that pretty much wraps up the episode. We didn't have any BGG posts from our Eldritch episode or any other fan follow-ups to that. Stay tuned this Friday. We will be releasing our Gen Con preview episode instead of a review episode. So give that a listen. We're going to talk about some things we're excited to do, excited to see, people we're excited to talk to, and most importantly, the games we're looking forward to, because Gen Con is still all about the games, mostly. So yeah, so stay tuned for that. If you want to get a hold of us, you can always email us.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
Good job.
You can follow us on Twitter. I tweet under @MHGameGuys.
I am Zach_MHGG.
And I'm Jeff_MHGG.
We have a Board Game Geek guild number 2731, where we post threads for whatever our Friday episodes are going to be, and where you can just feel free to participate in any other chats that happen to start. Cough, cough, hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Start threads on the BGG guild, guys.
2 people have done that.
Two people.
One was
In
a
a
year
year.
ago. The other one was about PUBG, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah. We have a lot of talking on the Slack, too.
Yes.
Yes, our Slack channel is very active.
Yeah. People argue about Indonesia and how it gets a pass for components.
People talk about, what was the other one we just had the other day that everybody was chatting about?
I don't know. Wes talks politics on there sometimes by himself.
I missed Wes's single political talks.
Mint delivery was talked about.
Yep.
Drafting in Terraforming Mars when Shut Up and Sit Down did not mention it in their review.
That's what it was.
Yes.
Whole big chat about drafting and Terraforming Mars and whether or not it's mandatory for the game. It is.
Yeah. Wes was talking about how our senator finally did a town hall. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah. And then it turned into a disaster because, of course,
Yeah.
it did. Fantastic. But yeah, so there will be a link in the show notes to join the Slack. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram /MileHighGameGuys. And yeah, as always, tune in and listen on your podcast app of choice.
Indeed.
Which I assume is what you already do.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Unless they're just coming in here and stealing the raw file off your laptop.
Yeah.
That explains so much. Just a constant stream of people accessing my laptop throughout the week.
Yeah.
Now, if people liked our show and wanted to help in some way, how would they do that, Adrian?
Well, there's a variety of ways you can actually help the show.
Yeah?
My personal favorite is telling other people about the show, getting them to listen.
My personal favorite, if you just come up and just put $5 into my hand.
Yes, if you see Zach, just give him a $5.
Yep.
My personal favorite is feedback on what you would like the show to be, sort of.
I
don't know,
just-
things
I
you
just
like,
like
things you don't
bribes.
like. I mean, yeah, you can bribe Zach. But
Another way you can bribe Zach, if you don't, think you're going to get to see him and put a $5 in his hand, but you still want to give a $5 in some way, we have a Patreon. Patreon.com/Mile High Game Guys.
Indeed.
We have broken through our second goal and are moving right along.
we have T-shirts in design / production.
Yes,
We
they
have-
should be ready next week.
We have
Early
business
next week.
cards in hand.
Very fancy.
I don't have any in my hand right now.
I mean, in possession.
House. In-house.
On the other side of that wall.
Yes, in my kitchen. There are business cards.
Former studio.
Thank God, former studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, and starting to do some preliminary work on a super fancy new website.
Indeed.
And that is all thanks to the support of our current patrons over on Patreon. And so go and check that out if you want to support the show financially. We also do always appreciate reviews on Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, all over the place. Reviews are very welcome. So yeah,
Tell us what you like, what you don't like. We've had people tell us what they don't like, and we totally accept that feedback as well.
yeah.
But we probably won't stop cursing.
Probably not. Although this one's been a relatively cursing-free episode. I feel like there has been a whole lot of cursing in this
Yeah, we
episode.
need to really end load all the curse words.
Right. Yes. But yeah, so I think that pretty much wraps everything up. You guys got anything else?
Just murdering. Just thinking about murdering.
All right. Well, on that note, as always, I've been Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I am Moist Jeff.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, Zach, we get it. You don't care.
Your jerk off air motions.
Yeah.
But if you do that, I'll still come to it every time do it and be like, you guys are so lame. You guys are, I just
Whatever,
make fun.
nerds.
Yeah, nerds.
The only
I'll
thing,
dress up like oh god, what is his name from Revenge of the Nerds? Or Ogre?
maybe Booger.
No.
that was the one guy. He became a nerd in like the third movie.
Yeah. I think it was the second one.
Oh,
When they went to Florida. I'll just dress up like that.
Yes.
Ogre. It is Ogre.
Ogre. Yeah.
Nerds. Just yell that. Crush beer cans on my head.
Yeah.
Seems like you.
Yeah. Brain damage. Yay.
Punchboard Media, where we all
Bring something
to the table.
pull up a chair
at punchboardmedia.com.